Okay, so in this video, we will be making a static web banner ad. So start by opening up Photoshop. If you have to go into applications, you click on your desktop, Finder, new Finder window under File. Finder's open, you can see. Go into this left-handed menu, Applications, Photoshop, open it up, and double click to get that application to open. And then once it's open, you can push Control and then Options, keep in dock. So that's how you do that. I want to keep this in the dock. So okay. So if that's checked, it'll keep it in dock. And so we'll start off making a new document. So File, New. So our new document dialog box will kind of come up here. We want the width to be 300, height to be 250. We'll make sure this is on pixels, and sometimes it'll be on inches and you want it on pixels. We can make that resolution 72, which is the DPI for the web. Make sure the color mode is RGB color, and yeah, that's about all that we need there. And then just push Create. So here is the size that we're looking for of our ad. It's a 300 by 250, and that's a really common web ad size. So let's just start by opening up files that we want to use. Let me see, I think I have it in here. So my images, the Cowan Hall JPEG and the MSU logo JPEG, I downloaded these from Brightspace in week 2, I believe, and so you can get them into your folder there, your animated GIF folder. So here they are, and then here's that document we created. It's almost like a tab system, like you'd see in a web browser. So let's bring in this Cowan Hall image. If we do a select all, that'll get everything on this layer, and we're on this layer here. Here's our layers panel. You can toggle this on and off. Well, it's not working because I have it selected, but you can toggle it on and off. Oh, it's locked, that's why. I can copy this and then delete this layer if I want, just to show this to you. Delete that layer. So toggle that on and off. You can see that we're on this layer, it's highlighted. And then do select all. And then I would do a Command C. I think you can do edit copy here if you don't want to use the shortcut command. And then we go into our file that we created, and then we do a Command V. And that'll actually place it over, this layer will be over top of that white background layer that just kind of automatically came up, that is locked. We can go ahead and delete this because we don't need it. So if we do a Command T, I think edit transform is right here, and you can do scale, but a Command T will bring that up as well. Another way is edit transform, and then scale, because we're going to scale this down because it's too big. And you don't have to push shift or anything like that. You just grab it from one of these white boxes to bring it down in size. That looks pretty good. I'm leaving it a little bit larger for this demonstration, and then push return. Okay, so we have our first layer. Maybe we'll rename this. We can just double click Cowan Hall background, maybe, because it's going to be the background to this ad. And then we can create a new layer here. And you could do like I think you can do layer new as well. Layer, layer new layer. Kind of redundant, but I like to just use these some of these icons down here in the layers panel. So click new layer. We'll do another select all or Command A. So we're on this blank layer, and this layer is on top of the Cowan Hall background layer. So we will do an edit fill. You can use black. Make the mode multiply and make this around like 37% or something. Okay, so that layer has a little bit of black on it, just to kind of help the text pop out more that we're going to put on top. So as you can see, we kind of, from that select all, we have our dancing ants. So we can do a Command D to deselect that. And then we can create, we don't need to create a layer before we do it. Actually, every time you use the text tool, it seems to create its own new layer. So automatically, once I click and drag my box with the text tool from over here, it will create a text layer. And we can change the layer color here up at the top. And you can slide this around to get different, colors, and then to make the color like darker or lighter, you just kind of, or muddier or more intense, you can just kind of use this color picker to pick your color. I'm just going to go up here and take the purest form of this red and push OK. Actually, no, I don't want red. I want white. And white is going to be on every slide, but it's just way over here in the corner. And it's pure white when you have all zeros in the CMYK. Push OK. Okay, and then it automatically adds in this Latin, which is fine. It's just kind of a placeholder, but we want to put our text in. Seems like 20 point isn't too bad. You can change it up here, the size of the text. Maybe I'll make it 24. So it went on 2 lines there. I think I want to bring this box out a little bit. You can move it by doing that. That's actually too tight. So we'll make it 22. See, and you can manually add it in like that too. And then you push enter. So 22, enter, and it'll make that text 22 point. I'll zoom in a little bit, Command plus to zoom in, or you can use your magnifying tool as well. No, that's the dodge tool. Here's the magnifying tool, the zoom tool. So if I click in here and make sure I still have my text selected, click in here, push return, I can get on the next line. Let's see, I can't remember what my, I wonder if I have that. Oh yeah, under the big sky, yeah. And I'm going to make it all caps. I can actually, I'll make it. So right now it's not all caps, but if I open up window and character, that'll kind of bring up this character panel. And this has, the font type, if I want to make it bold or whatever, you can change your text size here. This will do the tracking of the font, so it'll put automatically put spaces in between every single letter. But if we want to make these all capital, you just click here, all caps. Yeah, or you can make it italic or bold, or you can just mess around with some of these features in here. So you can put a line through it, which there's no reason to do that. You can put an underline on it. Some of these things I don't use very often. So yeah, we're just gonna do, and you can undo it by re-clicking it. So if I click it, it's all cap. Unclick it, not all cap. So the reason I'm doing all caps is because it has a little bit different look to it than this line of text. These two are a little different. I think that contrast looks good. And maybe I'll just make this, bold. Or wait. Oh, maybe it doesn't have bold. Well, you can add this to it and make it bolder if you want. So that should be pretty good. We'll bring it up here. And then we need our logo. So we have our logo right here. If we do a select all and then do an edit copy, we'll be able to copy everything that we have selected here, which is the background and the logo and everything. Command V, that'll bring it in. Or edit paste if you want to do it that way. And then Command T and just drag it from these white boxes, either this way, and it'll keep it proportionate, or you can bring it from the corner, whichever way you want to do it. And you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard to kind of center things. I think that looks pretty centered. So as you can see, we have our background layers, our text layer, and our logo layer here. So we're going to make a quick button. So we will create a new layer, and we will grab our marquee tool, and we'll just click and drag that. Okay, so you can see our dancing ants are activated. Go to Edit, Fill, and we're going to put a color in there. So this box comes up after you do an Edit, Fill. We don't want black in there, we want a color in there. And yep, we want to go with a pretty bright red. I don't want it on multiply anymore. That's just from last time when we made that black box. So I want this normal, the mode to be normal, and I want the opacity to be at 100%. So push OK. If you need to move this box around, you can use the Move tool over here and just kind of position it. You can use your keys on your keyboard to kind of tweak it a bit. And then if you do a Command D, it'll deselect. So that looks pretty good. So now to put the text on top of the box. Actually, you know, this box is too big. I think I'm going to make it a little bit less wide. If you push Shift and then bring it down, you can make it taller. The Shift kind of doesn't preserve the proportions. Actually, it used to be the other way around, but recently they changed that, which it does make sense actually. And then push Return to kind of finalize your effect there. And then go to your text tool, because we're going to put the Inquire Today over the top of this button. Okay, so the text is too big, it's the wrong color. So we can either do it here or up here. I'll just use this character panel that I have open. And I will make this a little bit smaller. Maybe that's too small. Maybe 16. And maybe we'll just enter it in manually. 17, enter, and that should work. We can use the Move tool over here in the Tools panel and grab that text and move it. That looks like it's pretty well centered. So this is looking pretty good. This is basically our static ad. When they click on this, it'll have a URL link for this whole image, and it'll take us to another website, probably the graphic design page on the MSU Northern website would make sense for this ad. So if we do a file, save as, we can go into our, since this is a Photoshop, so we could do a web banner video demo. You don't have to name it that. You can just name it web banner and leave it a PSD, because that's the native file out of Photoshop, the Photoshop one. And the file extension is .psd. Make sure you get that dot in there, otherwise you're going to mess up your file. And then push save, push OK. So we have saved this as a PSD, but we want to save it out as a JPEG. So export, save for web, and there's a bunch of different things that you can do. This would be for GIFs, but we want a JPEG, maybe high. I don't think we really need to mess around with any of these settings. Here's the size. This is probably going to be the file size right here. That's pretty low. And then just push save. And this is where you would save it out. I would save it under the same name. It just has a .jpeg on the end now. And push save. So we should have, if you go into that file, if you go into your documents, I have it in Graphic Design 340, Photoshop. I have a bunch of other stuff in here, as you can see, but if I put it in this view, you can see it a little bit better. Here is our PSD, and here's our JPEG. And the PSD has all the layers preserved, and the JPEG will just be flat. So if we open this up, if we were to open that up in Photoshop, it would be completely flat. I wonder if I can just click and drag this. Well, if I do a control click, I can open with Photoshop. And as you can see, just one layer in a JPEG. And that's why it's such a small file size. But anyway, that's how you would create a static web ad.